In this model, we're going to work on the texture for the bulb, and in this particular clip, we're going to start working from the base of the bulb. So before we start working on this project, what I want to bring in is a very strong reference. So let me bring this image here, and as you can tell, this is the type of quality of metal that I want to apply to the general bulb. So as you can tell, it's a little bit of a rusty metal, silverish metal, and on top of that, we have a clear coat layer or a paint layer with the color of the metal. So let's go back to Substance Painter and start working on this. So the first thing you want to do is go to your texture set list and then make sure that you're selecting your base texture set. Then after that, I will go back to our layers and I will hit here on our shelf. As you can tell, I have filtered already with this search box here, or let me do it again, our rust metal. So I will drag this one here, which is called steel rust. And this material, in my opinion, is really cool and really interesting and give us a lot of story to our bulb. So this is going to be the base of our metal or silverish layer for the base material. Then what we need to do is modify a couple things here. So I will go first to the scratches and I will go to the generator that has been preset for us in this smart material, and I will go to our property tab. Then what I want to do is go here to your UV scale and I want to change the scale a little bit. So you can tell that now the scratches are working a little bit more into the scale of the object. So that's something I really like. And then on the edges, I will go to the generator that is being applied on the mask. And what I want to do is basically increase this level. So with this level, what we're bringing in, as you can tell, is a lot of this imperfection on the borders of this material. So you can tell that right now it feels more like this industrial metal. Now, let me close that. And what I want to do is go back to our shelf. And then I will look for a tank material, a tank paint material. And this is going to be our starting point for our painted layer. So this will load in here. Once it's loaded, we can see that it's been applied to all over the place. So the first thing I want to do is get rid of this dust because I don't want to have it. I just want to keep working on this color material. And then I will go to the base layer of this tank painted material, and then I will go to our property tab. Here I will go and change the color. So I want to pick something more into the bluish color. So let me just try to find the right amount of color here, and I will just try to get something that feels better into what we saw before. So let me just go back there. I will just make it a little bit darker and a little bit more saturated, or actually desaturated, and then I will go back to a little bit more of blue. So I feel that this color will work really well for us. And then the next step I want to do is basically mask this paint in order to reveal a little bit of the rust metal that is below. So the first thing I want to do is basically go here to the sum of all the layers and as my material, and then I will go back to our height. I want to get rid of the height, so I will disable it. So we get a little of those little details of the rust below. Now that we have this, I will go back to our color. Then I will go ahead here and create a white mask. With this white mask, what I want to do is add a couple of generators. So let me start by bringing in a generator that I actually like a lot. So I will go here and pick this MG Metal Edgeware and drop it there. So as you can tell, this has basically get rid of all the paint, and that's a specific something that we don't want. So what I want to do is start by masking this or inverting the mask. As you can tell, it's doing a pretty cool job by just showing us the edges and basically showing us how the wear of this paint has been basically being more present on the edges of the object. Then for the wear level, I just want to fine tune it a little bit so we got a little bit of those fine edges and fine details on the edges of the object. Then what I want to do is go here back to our mask, and I will add another generator. So one important thing to have in mind about this is that these generators, or any modifier that you throw to the mask or the material, you can change the blending mode. So in order to keep adding different type of generators and different type of effects to this metal or to this paint, what I will do is change this to multiply. Once I have set up this to multiply, I will go here and basically pick a dirt generator. With this dirt generator, the same thing happened. So I will go here and basically invert this. And then I will play with the dirt level and dirt contrast. So the level will allow us to reveal more or less of what is underneath, and the contrast will modify that mask in a more contrast way. So will allow us to have more variation and more difference between what is and what is not revealed from the below element. So as you can tell there, I'm just moving in and see a little bit of the difference. So it's just a matter of trying to find a little bit of that wear that is happening on the paint, but it's not all over the place. So we see a little bit of details here and there, but it's just enough to have the feeling that underneath this paint we have this metal layer for the material. Then, when we have this, one thing I like about our reference is that the metal wear is starting from the bottom. So in order to work that, what I will do is go to our shelf, and you can tell that you have smart masks. So this smart mask basically will allow you to have some very nice and interesting presets. So I will go down to the ground dirt, and this will allow us to mask this based on the world position pre-pass or texture bake that we have done. So I will get rid of this grunge map, which is actually adding a little bit of grunge to that texture, and then I will change the blending mode to multiply. As you can tell, it's totally the opposite of what we want. So let me go here to our generator, and then I will go to our property tab, and then again invert this. So as you can tell, now we have a little bit of the wear on the bottom, but it starts blending to wherever the other two generators were doing in the top. So then I will play with the level, so this will change a little bit how far this travels, and then I will increase the contrast quite a well. Then I will start trying to get with the dirt height a little bit of where we are here. So now that we have this should be working quite well. Then I want to add another one here. So let me go to our shelf. I will add this one really quickly, and I will repeat the operation just very fast. The only difference here is that instead of working with the Y coordinate, I will go ahead and change to the X coordinate. Then I will invert this, and you can tell that this has bring in a little bit here to the side of our texture. And let me just frame that a little bit better there, so you can see a little bit of the effect of that going on there. So what I want to do here is basically decrease the contrast, because I want that to be all over the place a little bit more, so that will give a little bit of direction. Then for the opacity, I will change this to maybe something about 30, or actually 50 will work a little bit better, while I will bring back to 100% of our bottom one. Then the last thing I want to do is basically apply these two layers in the same way to our chord object. So I will change my texture set here. I will go to the layers, and I will step here and will hit Ctrl B because I already copied them, and I will paste these two layers to this object. So it will calculate, and you can tell that it's not working quite well. So the beauty of this is that we, after applying these couple of layers, can go ahead and modify this. So what I will do is go here to our dirt and start changing a little bit of the dirt and the contrast, and I will do again for the metal edge wear. So I will decrease the level, so this will bring in a little bit more of the painted part, and there you go. We have a little bit of the painting through our chord, but a little bit of areas here. Then for our Y position mask, I will just decrease the wear so it's more localized on the bottom of the chord. So I will stop this clip here, and in the next clip I will go ahead and start painting the textures for the ring of the bulb.